Over a week away, more and more events are taking place to mark the centenary of the end of the First World War.
Well, today in Essex, the villages of Great and Little Leys completed a project that very visibly reveals the identities of local soldiers who lost their lives during the 4 years of conflict. Malcolm Robertson's been along.
They're honouring the 28 soldiers from their community who died during the war years. All around Great and Little Leys, the names of those lost have gradually been revealed. This morning, the final two were given their resting place. David Livermore placing the image of his grandfather Albert outside the cottage where he lived. He was killed in Belgium on his wife Margaret's birthday. Anne Wilson's organised all this. Today she was placing a wreath of poppies in Little Leys Church, made by local school children, every poppy with the initials of a dead soldier.
It was very important for all of us to remember these young men, and I thought a good way to do it might be to actually make it very personal by having silhouettes, each with their name, age and the date that they died, placed in places that were familiar to them, outside homes that they lived in, perhaps places that they walked or worked, and it became much more relevant to everybody else.
Cousins Valerie Frost and Janice Elliott have been keen to research their family history, in particular the loss of their 4 uncles in the Great War, reflecting how dreadful it must have been for the boy's mother, Sophia.
I'm sure that grandmother must have had a terrible time coping with one after another.
All 4 were from the Great Leys area. Dick Fitch of the Essex Regiment was killed at Mons in 1914. Arthur of the Royal Marine Light Infantry when HMS Formidable was torpedoed in the English Channel on New Year's Day 1915. Archer from the Suffolk Regiment died at the Somme in 1916. And George Bennett of the Labour Corps from wounds after war ended.
I lost my son in a car crash when he was 19, and I know how devastating that was for us. So thinking back to my grandmother, who I never met, what it must have been like for her and my grandfather to lose 4 sons in the space of 5 years and to a war must have been beyond comprehension.
The poppies that adorn the silhouettes have been created by Year 5 pupils at Great Leys Primary School. It's felt that this has helped them better understand such an important part of British history.
We've looked at the food they ate, the lifestyle they had, what life was like during the war, so they've really been able to capture that and see the difference between their lives now and what they went through during the war. And when we go on the walk around Great Leys, they will see their poppies and think, I made that, I've contributed something to our community.
Izzy Raven's a great niece of Ernest Digby, who was killed in Belgium in May 1918. He was in the Essex Regiment. So too was his older brother Charles Digby, fatally injured in Palestine in September 1918.
I feel quite proud and it's just quite nice to know that they did something for our country.
These youngsters all feel proud they were able to do something positive to keep alive the memory of those from their local villages killed in the Great War, and whose images will be so visible here until the day after Armistice Day, and hopefully remembered long after that. Malcolm Robertson, ITV News, Essex.
Well, next from us this evening, the Norfolk